Hi everybody, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lottie and this is round, I don't remember, of the TBR Scrolls. So yeah, it's time for another round of the TBR Scrolls, which is my bi-monthly TBR game based on Skyrim. So this is the board, we travel around the board and complete prompts as we go based on stuff from the world of Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls. So if you would like a full rundown of the rules for 2023 and the board and all that jazz, go and check out the first video for 2023 which covered my January and February TBR. So I am not going to hang about this time round, we are going to jump straight into the roles and stuff. First of all, we do need to go over what I read in March and April though. So as you guys probably remember, March and April's round was a little bit chaotic as I pulled a Sheogorath card, which is a bit of a wild card in the deck where I have to randomly pick 5 books instead of reading the books I had already selected. So we did have a couple of rolls before I pulled the Sheogorath card, but as you guys know, the books that I chose for those rolls do not count. So let's go through the 5 books I had to read for Sheogorath. So first of all, The Cat Who Caught a Killer by L.T. Shiro was chosen for me and I have read this one. The next one selected for me was The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill and I have read this one. The next 2 chosen for me were a little bit of a strange coincidence and they were Guild and Glint by Raven Kennedy and I have read both of these. And the final book chosen for me by Sheogorath was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas and I have read this one. So all in all, we are doing very well so far. If you guys remember, I did pull the Vampires card that said if I don't complete my TBR for these 2 months then I am on a book buying ban. So if you guys remember, I did have one more roll after I pulled the Sheogorath card and that was to pull a prompt from the mystery mug. And so that chose for me Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King and I haven't not read this yet, but at the time of filming I do have about a week left in April. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to this in April to be honest, because I do also have my 2 book club books I need to read before the end of the month. However, I'm not going to pull a punishment at present because as you guys know, I had that Vampires card, so I feel like that is going to act as the punishment for May and June if I don't end up reading Dolores Claiborne in time anyway. So we aren't going to pull a blue Enemies and Monsters card today before we do the rolls because I just feel like I've read enough in March and April. Obviously there's other books beyond what was selected for me for this TBR as well, and if I don't get to it I kind of already have a punishment in play anyway. So I am hoping to read this before the end of April, but I'm not 100% certain I'm gonna have time for it if I'm being quite honest. Okay, so now we've kind of gone through that and cleared stuff up, let's just get straight on with roll number 1. This time we were on this white space here, so obviously that's where we're going to start from, and let's just jump straight in with roll number 1. That is a 3. And that first one is a white space. So roll number 1 has gone a little bit chaotic anyway because we are pulling from the mystery mug, so this is still not fully up to date. Again, it was so full that I just thought I'm not going to put any new books in until it's gone down a little bit more, but this basically is supposed to have the title of every single book I own in here, including audio and ebooks. I'm just going to go and pull out a little slip of paper and hope for the best. Okay, I have one. I'm getting more and more nervous as I wait in anticipation. So we've got Dumplin'! Okay, so this is Dumplin' by Julie Murphy, which is a contemporary. I'm not 100% certain if it's adult or young adult though. I have seen the movie for this. It has this horrendous Netflix sticker. And all I really know about this is it's about the daughter of a old beauty queen and she is not traditionally beautiful looking, you know, she's a little bit fat and I guess not attractive, and so she's kind of in the shadow of her mom's previous success, and I believe she kind of befriends a drag queen and kind of becomes a beauty queen in her own right. That's pretty much all I can remember from the movie, so I'm not certain how similar it's going to be to the book, but I have been wanting to read this for such a long time, so I'm very, very excited for it to be on my TBR. Roll number 2 is a 6. and that is a yellow, so we'll be pulling an Adra and Daedra card. And this is Vermina, the Prince of Nightmares. Read a spooky book. So role number 2 was to read a spooky book as given to me by Vermina, who is the Daedric Prince of Nightmares. So this is very straightforward, literally like any horror mystery book that is spooky in some way or another. So for this I have chosen Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. This is on my 23 books for 2023 list, so I am very much looking forward to reading this. As far as I'm aware, it is a standalone horror about mermaids or sirens. I think it is about a crew of like people. They're filming a mockumentary underwater and they go missing, I guess. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what this is all about. Myra Grant is Shauna Maguire, if you weren't aware, and the only things I've read from Shauna Maguire have been the Wayward Children series so far, so I'm very, very interested to see how I get on with her other types of writing. Role number 3 is a 5. And that is a Standing Stones red space, and the card we've got is the Tower. You are permitted to go on a book buying spree. So role number 3 was a Standing Stones card, and it is the Tower, and the prompt on this is that I am permitted to go on a book buying spree. So thank you, the sign of the Tower, because this basically will cancel out the Vampires card if I don't manage to read Dolores Claiborne. But it's also a nice little treat in case I do want to go on a bit of a book buying spree in May and June. So thank you, Tower. Role number 4 is another 3. That is another yellow Adra and Daedra, and the card is Stendar, the God of Righteousness. Read a book with LGBTQIA+ representation. Role number 3 was another Adra and Daedra card, and I am getting nervous that we're going to have to add another role. This one was Stendar, who is the God of Righteousness, and the prompt on this is to read a book with LGBTQIA+ representation. So this is again very straightforward. Pretty much any book with that kind of representation in it, whether it is in the plot, the characters, or from the author as well, will meet the requirements of this card. So for this I've chosen Solitaire by Alice Oseman, which is kind of what started it all with Heartstopper. So this book is a young adult contemporary following Tori Spring, who is the older sister of Charlie, who is one of the main characters of Heartstopper, and as you guys know, I absolutely love Heartstopper. So I'm excited to see kind of what kicked off that series and to see Tori's story. Now, I'm not certain about Tori being LGBT, but I know Alice Oseman is a member of that community, and obviously also Tori's brother Charlie will feature quite a lot in this, I think, so there is also that representation in there as well. But I'm interested to read Tori's story, to see more of Tori as a character. Obviously she's in Heartstopper, but we don't see a lot of her, and it's because this is her book. So yeah, this is only the second novel by Alice Oseman that I've read, or I will be reading. I've read Loveless, which I absolutely loved. That was one of my favourite books of 2021, I think I read it. I'm very, very excited to read this. Okay, and the final roll. If I land on another yellow, I'm going to have to add in a roll, so fingers crossed I don't land on a yellow. That is a 4. Oh, and that's another yellow. Fantastic. So we've got Adra and Daedra, and the prompt is for Zenithar, the God of Wealth and Commerce. Read the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. So the 5th roll was not the final roll, and I did pull another Adra and Daedra card, so this means I will be adding a roll and adding a book to this TBR, and I really thought I was going to be able to get away with just 4 books this month, but never mind. This is Zenithar, who is the God of Wealth and Commerce, and the prompt on this is to read the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. So the way that this prompt works is I have to navigate to my own TBR shelf on Goodreads and just sort them highest rated to lowest rated, and the book at the top of that list is the book that I will be reading for this prompt. I'm again a little bit nervous because I'm not 100% sure what book is going to come up for this, but it adds a little bit of spice into the TBR there if I don't know what's coming up. I have tried to make sure all of my owned books are on that list, on that shelf on Goodreads. I'm not certain if everything is on there. I've done my best to make sure that everything is on there, but it's very easy to miss things. I did, when I first made that shelf, try and remember to add books as I bought them, and then I just went off the bandwagon for a bit. So I have gone back and tried to add them back in, anything I've bought since I last updated it, but I can't remember when I last updated it, so it's as up to date as it possibly can be. So I have my very old, very tired Kindle Fire here, and we're going to navigate to the shelf, and then we are going to see which book is at the top of that list. Here we go. So owned TBR. Okay, so it's already sorted by average rating. Okay, so it's actually already at the fuck's sake, at the top. So can you see this, guys? I'm sorry about the reflection, but can you see which book is on the top of that list? It's the one book that I didn't want to have to add onto a chunky TBR. I'm gonna go grab it. So, with an average rating of 4.64 stars, my highest rated book on my owned TBR is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I don't know why I'm surprised. I honestly don't know why I'm surprised. I did not even consider that this was going to be the top of that list, to be honest. But I shouldn't be surprised because it's Sarah J. Maas, and it's the only Sarah J. Maas book I haven't read. Apart from that Catwoman one she did. The reason why I'm apprehensive to read this is because it's nearly 1,000 pages long. And I mean, this is not a chunky TBR so far, but I do also have book club books I need to read as well. Fuck my life. So this is Kingdom of Ash. This is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I've had a bit of a rocky journey with the Throne of Glass series where I've enjoyed some of the books and not others. I loved Tower of Dawn, but I don't know how I'm going to feel about this book because it's obviously bringing all the characters back together and we are concluding the series. As it says, the first line on the blurb, the final battle is here. So yeah, I'm a little bit scared with what's going to happen in this book, but I'm scared to read it because it's nearly 1,000 pages long. But once I've read this book, that will be it. I will have finished the Throne of Glass series. Oh, it's been a very long time coming. I started this series in April 2021. It's 2023. It's May 2023, guys. I've been reading this series for longer than 2 years, but I'm nearly there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this series, seeing how it's going to end, seeing how it's all going to tie together, and also so that I don't have to keep reading this series anymore because it's been a very, very rocky road. So yeah, that is the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. And the bonus roll number 6, if I do land on another yellow, which I feel like is unlikely because of where we are on the board, I will have to add a 7th roll, so hopefully that won't happen. So, roll number 6. That is a 5. And we've got People and Places. And we've got Nord, which come from the province of Skyrim, and the prompt on this is to read a retelling of another story. So, the final roll. Thank God for that. I was very worried we were going to land on another yellow space and I would have to just keep adding rolls, but the final roll gave me a People and Places card. And so this one is the race of the Nords, who hail from the province of Skyrim. And the prompt on this card is to read a retelling of another story. So this is also pretty straightforward. Retellings and reimaginings count. Anything that was an original story, such as a fairy tale or a fable or a myth, whatever, will count for this. So this might not come as a surprise to you guys. I have chosen Gleam by Raven Kennedy, which is the 3rd book in the Plated Prisoner series, which is a reimagining of the story of King Midas. I love this series. You guys probably haven't seen the vlogs yet at this point, but I have absolutely loved reading the first 2 books and I really just wanted to get to this one as soon as possible, so I'm very, very pleased I have managed to get it onto this TBR. So yeah, I absolutely love this series. This is a lot longer than the first 2 books were, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to get through. And it's probably not a good idea to put this on the TBR when I also have this chunky thing to read as well, plus book club books, which I will talk you through in a moment. But yeah, this is the third book in the Plated Prison series, a King Midas reimagining where we are following Auron, who is gold touched, and she is the king's favourite. Everybody kind of reveres her, and so it's a story about growth. It's a story about Auron, really, and her relationship with King Midas, I suppose, is a fantasy romance. And I'm just very, very excited to see how it's going to continue. So this is the TBR for May and June. I feel like this is a pretty good TBR. We've got a nice variety of genres in there. And also Kingdom of Ash, the chunkiest book I have read. In fact, I think Kingdom of Ash is going to be the longest book I have ever read. I've never read a book as long as this one, nearly 1,000 pages long. So that is fun. That's going to be really fun. I do have also a few books to add on for book club reads. I couldn't quite squeeze them in, unfortunately, to the prompts. So let's go through what those are. So first of all, we have the By the Angel Along book for May, and that is the Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. And this is the first book in the Eldest Curses series. So as I mentioned, this is for By the Angel Along. And it's so strange because we are nearly at the end of this read along. We only have this book, the second book of this series, and also the Last Hours trilogy to read left. Until we are all caught up with Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunters world. So I don't really know too much about this series. I know that there is a third book still to come, but I know that it's about Alec and Magnus, who are two characters we saw in the original Mortal Instruments series. And they are two of my favourite characters in the whole world. So I'm very, very excited to see like kind of their story and their story together. I believe it's kind of a quest story where they are looking for the Red Scrolls of Magic, and I'm not 100% certain on the timeline of this book and where it takes place in the overarching plot of the Shadowhunters Chronicles. So that is the first one for my book clubs. Fortunately, it's not too long. The rest of the books in the Shadowhunters I've read so far this year have been extremely long. I still haven't read The Ghosts of the Shadowhand Market at present. That is also a very, very long book, but I'm so glad we're kind of just having a few shorter books. Like if I was going to read Kingdom of Ash at any point this year, it fortunately has fallen when we're reading one of the shortest books in the Shadowhunters By the Angel Along read along. And then the other book for my book club reads for May is the third book for the first lore along, and that is The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. So I still haven't read Before They Are Hanged just yet. I'm literally probably it's going to be the next book that I read at the time of filming this. That is the third book for that series, and that is the catch-up book club book for May and June. So because I'm reading Kingdom of Ash, I'm probably going to try and time it so I'm reading those books in different months to each other, just because that is another quite long epic fantasy book. But I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm looking forward to carrying on with the third one, but it's difficult for me to gauge how excited I am for it just because I haven't read the second book just yet. That is also the other book I'm going to be reading for the next 2 months. So this is what the TBR is looking like. Obviously I don't have a copy of The Last Argument of Kings yet, but just imagine it sitting on top there. So this is kind of a bit of a scary TBR, to be honest, because this is quite long and this is very long, but I don't know, I think I'm going to do it. We'll see. It is obviously going to cover 2 months worth of TBR, so it's not too daunting. There's a reason I made my TBR game bi-monthly, and it's because of books like this. But yeah, I'm very excited to get to all of these books. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of them and if you think I'm going to enjoy them. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below what you are going to be reading in May and June. I would love to hear what's on your TBR. If you haven't already and you'd like to be, please do consider subscribing. I post a new video every single week. And that is it from me today, guys. Bye!